Audio. Audio check. Mic check. Mic check. So. The PS5 is finally here. And I always wanted to play this game for a long time. And I randomly seen it. So it's like, I'm gonna do a live stream. You're essentially supposedly like Superman. It's supposed to be the best Superman game, so I'm gonna play it for like 15, 20 minutes, see what it's about. But I just figured out that the audio is actually not coming in. So wait, why is that? Let me see if I can. Yeah, because it's definitely not coming in on the. Hang on, let's see. Okay, so that's that. Capture device, capture. Yeah, I don't know why it's not coming in. Can you guys hear the music playing? Because I don't think it's coming through. It says video capture device. This is video capture device 1. And then over here it says video capture device. There's no audio coming through at all. I cannot wait. Here's the thing. I cannot wait for fucking like 5 or 10 years from now when like the people who thought they were good with technology in the industry die out, and then like the younger kids come up that will see like, yeah, we have to have like this mainstream so it's not, difficult to figure out. Because like these basic reasons are why people just stream off cell phones. Because it's just easier. Like it's just so much easier. So I've never played this game before. It's my first time. And I don't think you guys can hear it. But something tells me this isn't the kind of game where you really need to hear what's going on. And I'm watching a live stream over here to make sure it's running smooth. It should run smooth, but you never know with this shit. It's pretty self-explanatory. Monster comes in, fuck shit up. You gotta say today. This is old though, but I think they finally came back around to it. What's his move? Oh my god, you move with the left stick? I would have never figured that out. Dash L1, and that's awkward. L1 dash a movie. I'm pushing the button, it's not working. Yeah, like I'm pushing the button, it's just not working. I'm hitting X to close. Not off to a great start, Undisputed. Yeah, not off to a great start. What's up, Flick? Maybe if I plug it in. That's what she said. Yeah, it's just like, it's not working. I'm hitting X to start, and it's not working. Can you guys see that? Yeah, it says X close, and I'm pressing X. Well, is there an update? Well, no, it's not an update. Howard Pratt, where you been at? I've been fucking everywhere. Okay, the X is working now, so I wasn't X working here. Yo, oh, you gotta hold it. Why are games doing that now? Where you gotta hold it? Okay. And I don't think you guys can hear, because for some reason, rescue action. Am I missing something? How come I can't? Yeah, how come I can't go? I'm stuck. There's a wall right here. Homie is not moving. What am I supposed to do? Like there's an invisible wall, and I can't get undisputed. You ain't looking too good. Am I missing something? It says rescue action. Where'd the city? Do I got to pick the citizen up that I just? Oh, okay. It looks like it's running smooth. I'm pretty happy about that. If this is gonna run smooth, then I'll go off to play like other real shit in my other YouTube and just make another YouTube channel and just do that. I'm just testing this shit out. Which I doubt there's any audio. Let me just. I should. It looks like it's running smooth. I'm pretty happy about that. If this is gonna run smooth, then I'll go off the play like. Okay, yeah, it's just audio. There's no audio at all. I don't know why. Well, AD, you should watch Eon Flux. Very philosophical adult cartoon from the '90s. I remember Charlize Theron did the movie, and because I was just okay back then when that movie came out, it got a lot of attention, and flat up, flat down. I'm gonna forget. I don't know why I'm reading. I'm gonna forget all this shit and figure it out while I'm in it. But yeah, it was okay. Wait, jump, fly. Okay, up, down. Yeah, so when Eon Flux had come out, it was like the movie didn't do like too great in the movie theaters, from what I remember. And that was when Charlize Theron really wasn't like uh she was still kind of like she was like I don't mean to like bash Kate Beckinsale, but Kate Beckinsale was always kind of like that other girl who was just kind of cute and doing movies kind of thing. And that's what Charlize Theron really was at that time, from what I remember. Like in terms of just being like from my position of just being like a strict consumer kind of thing. Like I mean, who knows what she was really like in the actual industry? I mean, for anybody to make it as an actress or actor in the game is doing an amazing fucking job. Partially skill and partially pure luck. But so I'm not trying to bash any actor or actress with that. But what I'm trying to say is back then, like Charlize Theron still really wasn't. She still wasn't like a big name. So I remember when I found that there was like an anime I think which you're referring to, and that anime that cartoon like the art style was just like I wasn't ready for that shit at the time. You know what I mean? Like I wasn't ready for it. So like I never watched it. I'm sure it's probably good. Usually most animes usually have some type of good philosophical side to them. I just want to fly. They usually always have like good philosophical shit in it. Like that's like a huge strength that like anime has generally always kind of had. Like they've usually always been really good with that. Defeat all terrorists. What's over here? Hoip. That's the sound I make whenever I do something. Like here's the thing, when I play video games, if I ever play a game where I'm doing like some kung fu or something like Sifu or like Batman, I always go Hoip. Even when I'm just here by myself. Because I play like I'm Jerome from I'm not Jerome, Dragonfly Jones. I play like I'm Dragonfly Jones. But I don't think Dragonfly Jones even did that. I just do. I just go, wheat. So I'll just go, wheat. Because, you know, when, like motherfuckers who do Kung Fu, like, well, back in the late 90s, or like, back in the 90s, there was a huge infatuation with Kung Fu that had turned, like, completely corny. So like you had people like now I think it's slowly starting like Kung Fu and like martial arts are slowly making a comeback now. Mostly because I think like the whole excitement of like MMA and all that shit kind of came in. So now everybody wants to like, you know, everybody wants to get like a perfect punch and a, you know, a perfect sweeping kick or some silly shit. Like everybody's on like not everybody, but like that world I think is slowly coming back. Um, but back in the '90s, it was like it was a real. Oh, what did I just do? It got real tack. It got real cheesy. Where like everybody was just like super fucking like everybody was opening up a dojo. Oh, I had his circle. I got the laptop blocking the bottom of the fucking thing. I'm gonna fail this. Um, so there was always somebody going like, "Hui, sweet, hui, 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 hui." Oh my god, am I alive? Okay, I made it. Is it? It looks like it's running much better than the last time I ever live streamed. Oh, hang on. It looks like it's moving a lot better than the last time when I was live streaming before. Because it was running like shit the last time I ever tried to live stream. I gave up on that motherfucker for about a year or two. So it looks like it's actually running like could like I like I would watch this if I seen it on YouTube. If I was interested in what was on the screen, I would watch it. But it had gotten so bad that like I wouldn't even watch this shit. Fight challenge. Oh, flight challenge. Learn how to read. Uh-oh. Oh my god, what is this camera? Okay. So I always go, oh, I missed one. Well, so back to the martial arts story. I always go, wheat, to make fun of those guys. Now it's all about MMA. I remember when MMA was just like no, but like I remember when MMA was just like a like pretty much a joke. Like it's a miracle that they got that shit up and running. I'm happy for them for getting up and running. But I remember when that shit like was just not even like nobody took MMA serious. At least where I was at. Like that shit was a pure joke. Wait. Yeah, I'm bored with this already. I'm ready to play Devil May Cry. I'm bored with this. Devil May Cry is. Oh, I know that's gonna be copyrighted. Oh, you can't hear it. The audio's not on, so I gotta worry about it. The audio's fucked up, so you can't even hear it. Because I know this music's gonna be copyrighted. Let's try Devil May Cry. That game was undisputed. I think it's an old game that was like I think some college kids made it to like to just kind of fuck around and just make like a Superman game or something. No save data exists. I already beat this game. This is on a PlayStation 5, by the way. So my save data is probably not over here. It's probably on the PlayStation 4 or something. I don't know how this works. Creating save data. It took that long. I was living in Chescalipa when I beat this game. Oh, Elijah, what's up, Elijah? Mount Cape Town, that was undisputed. I don't know if it's on the PS4 because I don't even like. This is my first time diving back into consoles, so I'm pretty off with this. Oh Jesus Christ! And it sucks you can't hear. Because I don't know how to get the audio working. Because on my end, I'll tell you what, let's try one more time to get the audio working. Audio device, capture one. Because this clearly is not going to work. Yeah, I have no idea why. Because that is this one. Like, let me just, yeah, that's that one. So I have no idea why the audio is not coming through. I'll figure it out next time. Virgil is now available for purchase. Download. Jesus Christ. You know what's crazy about these games nowadays is I remember when like I was never a fan of costumes, like of skins. I was never a fan of skins. And I remember when like games used to always kind of like put it in and I would never use them. Spoiler filter. Oh, okay. Game mode. Devil Hunter. Let's do that. I haven't played this game. I beat this game in Just Khalifa. Because a friend of mine, he really wanted it and he couldn't afford it. I mean, because I felt bad for him. But yeah, back in the day, like when skins were old, like all that stuff used to be free. I'll sound like an old person because I am. But they used to always the skins used to always be free. So they would always just be in the game. You had to unlock them, or sometimes you just be there, or sometimes they'd be there like just in a under a code. You had to put in some kind of way or do something. So like it's just really awkward for me now to see that people legit will actually pay for skins. Like that's crazy to me. And I doubt very seriously if I will ever do it in my life. Because I was never a fan of skins before. When with the new Spider-Man game, the new ones, just the even one on PS4, when his outfit changed to that new one, like I just went back to the original Spider-Man costume like immediately. Like I don't even care for the new ones. So, but that's just me. Like I usually prefer the original costumes. It's just crazy how people will pay for skins because I never thought that was even a popular thing before. Oh yeah, because he ain't got his little double trigger arm. Is it dark? It's way too dark, isn't it? It is not that dark on my end at all. I don't know why it's so dark. It's like it's actually a little too bright. Why the fuck is it so dark in the stream? Because it's not that dark at all. Like it's like if anything on my end is too bright and it's like super dark. I have no idea why it's that dark. But yeah, I would like to naturally okay. Wrestlers, I'll probably watch at least an episode of it tonight. If it's a movie or it's a, I'm pretty sure it was a movie. What's this? When a barrier blocks off your path, it means the battle's gonna take place. Defeat all enemies. Can you guys even see this shit? It looks like so fucking dark, man. It's not that dark on my screen. I was just playing that demo AI limit or whatever the fuck, which is like a baby Souls like. So now I'm like completely off now playing this. I think it still looks good though. Press R1, L3. So you can change like on with R1. I think it still looks good for now. Okay, that was the other thing. I was testing out ray tracing on this motherfucker, And I'm like, I don't see a difference in I don't get ray tracing. I don't get what the hype is. Maybe I didn't play the right game for it. Maybe it was me. But maybe somebody can educate me on it. But I did not get what ray tracing was supposed to be at all. I missed it. Just call me Rec. Okay, Rec. Okay. It sucks I can't get the audio working. Press R. Jesus Christ. I'll figure that shit out along the way. Ooh. I think this game still is good now. It's like I can see on the stream it's a little like skippy, but it's not skipping on my end. It's completely smooth. It's like the frame rate's not completely there in the stream. Like it's a little off. It's dipping. Yeah, Virgil. I didn't care for Virgil at all. The only things I didn't like about this game was Virgil, and I mean not Virgil. What's that? The mother. I called him Virgil. The dude the dude I just talked to, and he cast spells and shit. I didn't care for him, and I really don't care for Nero for real. But I can deal with him because everybody just wanted to see Dante. Yeah, you gotta die at this boss fight. I remember this. You can't beat him. Oh shit. But yeah. I remember I was real into Devil May Cry. I watched the anime of that. The anime, it was good. It was cool. It was a little cheap, but it was. I seen it coming out with another Devil May Cry Netflix. It's on Netflix, and like I don't know what to think about it. I don't even know if it's out yet. Um, but the old anime was good. It was definitely like you could tell they didn't have a budget because they just used a lot of still shots and like to hide that they just didn't have a lot of animation for it. Um, but it was good. It was good. I watched every episode. Oh God. Yeah, because I can't even dodge or anything. Oh, but I think you can tell. Like some people have beat this boss like this. Like I just don't know how to. Like there is a way you can do it if you just sit down and figure it out. Now that's it. Yeah, you can't win. It's part of the story. Well, you're not supposed to win. It's dark as fuck. Oh yeah, you guys can't hear, so it like, sucks. So I had to talk to fill in the dead space. These motherfuckers are going at it. It's always something. Hmm. Yeah, I don't like Do the Cane. That shit was lame as fuck. You guys can't hear, so it's worse. I've already beat this game. I'm not gonna put you guys through that. So that's it for that. uh, let's move on since that fucked up. Move on to something else. No, wait, hang on. Let's do this. Oh. Window capture. Here we go. Oh, not that. Yeah, that's fine. Turn that off. All right, so we live officially. Let me turn this heat off. All right. How are you teaching business going along? You know what? I just didn't even care about it anymore, to be honest with you. I was doing it for a while, and I just didn't care anymore because I'm just going back. And here's the thing. The reason why I quit caring about it is because I really started to think about the whole reality of because it's one of those things. And when you lead when you teach in English like that or teaching a language, it's a hard. It's going to be a hustle to get up in there because nobody knows if they should trust you or not yet. You know these kind of things, right? So so it's going to be a hustle because you have to get in there and get to know the people and then through word of mouth get around and then for people who stick with it they can make great money here. But the issue for me the it came down to a dilemma of do I stay here and do I get too involved in the check mentality of business and adopt too many of their qualities that aren't very good qualities, especially to converse with actual Westerners that make a lot more money? Was it really worth me submerging myself and then risk developing too far in their culture and then lose track of my culture and then because then it would just that would end up sh- shutting me down to essentially one country kind of thing, which is Czech Republic, which is smaller, it has less money. So like I really gave it thought after a while. I said it really it really wasn't worth that long haul thing to take it serious. Like I would do it like here or there, but to take it serious, I don't know. I kind of leaned out of it, and then on top of that, I'm going back. I'm going to go back to get another master's in from the U.S. and I'm going to get my stipend back from the military for that. So it's like it just really wasn't worth for me. It wasn't worth the stress to not really the stress, but just the time it would take to build it up. Honestly, that's really what it was. So I do teach, but I only do like 3 students a week, and that's really just to get out the house. Honestly, so that's what happened with that. What's your PSN name? Windopolis, bruh. Wait, I'll see if I can if it's up there somewhere. But I don't even have any new games right now. I figured out I ended up syncing my PS account, and then I found where you can get your old library games because that's one thing I wanted to do. I wanted to see if how those games would look on here, and then I found out that they actually charge you for like that upgrade to like get the better textures and all that, And I haven't even bought PS Plus yet because I'm still confused. No, like it's so convoluted. Like, and I think this is where Xbox Game Pass does a bit better in explaining exactly what it is in a concise way. Because like when I was looking at the PS Plus memberships, it was really I thought it was a bit just too confusing for its own good. So what I was able to figure out was like the base level of subscription was pretty much just like the ability to play online with other people, and then like the 2 monthly games for free, or maybe three, I don't know. And then the plan up from that, you got what the previous plan offered, but I guess you get this specific library of play, pretty much like a Game Pass situation where you can just like play like games specifically for their version of Sony's version of Game Pass. So it was like God of War, like the Demon Souls and Dark Souls games, and Bloodborne was in there. So I would do that. And then the next league up was I forget what that was, but I mean it took me so long to really figure out what was exactly happening. I just said fuck it, I'll come back to it another day, because it took me a good 20-30 minutes of like because I was looking through games, and then some of them said like subscribe and you can play. I'm like, why does it keep saying that? Because PS Plus usually doesn't do that. That I went to the thing, and it was just really just weird. Maybe I was tired too. I was also just tired. It was late at night, and I had been drinking, so because I don't drink much anymore. It was just too much. So I said, "Fuck it. I'm just gonna wait until I'm fully aware and know what's going on before I spend any money on this right now, because I still got a gaming PC, right? So like, and I still and I do a lot of simulation racing. So like a lot of my time is in that. And like I said, I don't know. I just got to. I'll come around to the PS5. It's just I just need time because I got other stuff I'm doing, that kind of thing. But the PS name is Windop. I don't even know how to show it up, how to bring it up. But I tell you what, I am pretty shocked at just how like I tell you what, the color's even dull now. It was brighter before I hooked up this Elgato thing, and now it's like dull, like the color's off. You guys can't even see what I'm doing. Here it is. Hang on. I'll show you. I'll show you right now. Here it is. So this is because I was real confused at the menu. Like I said, I was also a little drunk too, so like it was hard to figure it out. Because then they priced it like backwards, so like the cheapest ones on the right and the most expensive ones on the left. Like it was like all these little things that just kind of threw me off so much. I was like, "Fuck it, I'm not dealing with it." It was like two. It was like 2 in the morning. I had been drinking, and I plugged it in and started fucking with it, and I was just so confused. I just said, "Fuck it." So what is actually in the most expensive one? This PlayStation Plus premium subscription continues indefinitely. You'll be charged for it. Yeah, it doesn't even say, like, what the fuck. Why don't you just put it right in here? What the fuck? And don't put it from expensive to cheap. Put it from cheap to expensive so it makes sense. So, yeah, what I was able to piece together is I think this gaming catalog. I don't know. It's like black on the screen, but it's like gray up here. The color's off, too. But what I'm getting is this catalog is the games you have access to if you get the higher plan. From what I'm able to kind of figure out, but I'm not 100% sure. And I already got like half these games or more, either on PC or I already had them on PS4. Because I had that on PC and I deleted it because I just don't like Miles Morales at all. I hate Miles Morales. I think he's terrible. As I was playing Spider-Man 2 on PC, and it got to a part where where I had to talk to Miles Morales. I just ran away, and so I just started swinging about the town because I just don't care for him. There's nothing I like about him. So yeah, this is just such a confusing way of explaining anything. Like this is just terrible. I thought Game Pass was bad at explaining when I first did Game Pass, but this is like so bad at explaining. I mean, now I think I figured it out, but this is like terrible at explaining what you're gonna get for what. Like, I have no idea. So compare features. Okay, what's this? So essential, you get monthly games, online, discount, share play. I don't care about that. Oh, and this is just okay. Premium just has the classic, and this one has the library. This is terrible. This is completely terrible. How you're supposed to figure out like this is awful. So I guess for all the ones that have the extra on it, these are the games I'm gonna have because I always wanted to play Sonic Frontiers and I never got to play that either. I'm guessing that all the games that have the extra on it are the games I'm gonna have access to, like Xbox Game Pass. I'm assuming that that's what this means. I'm assuming this is what this means. Yeah, all these that have extra. But like I said, either I've already had all either I've had these games, I've deleted these games already, or I have them on the PlayStation 4 and don't even play them on PlayStation 4. I don't care about Pac-Man. I already played High on Life. It was cool for what it was, but I never finished it. What's this? Yeah, it's just yeah. And it's like all this is like severely confusing. Like, why are you bringing up tournaments? Customized adventures. Oh, that's what I really because I got Marvel Rivals. Somebody asked me about that a week ago if I played it, and it's somewhere in here. I have it somewhere here. It's just not up here right now. I thought I downloaded it. There it is. Yeah, it's right there. But it's just so confusing. I really got to take time to figure it out. But I will say this: I am impressed by how snappy it is. I'm impressed by that quick play feature. Just like what was that? Like you just go like right back into the game, and it's just like there kind of thing, and you just like and there's no problem with it at all. Because I haven't played a game. I haven't played like an updated. I haven't played any console games in a long time, so I've only been on PC. And PC doesn't have, as far as I know, what I just do? It doesn't have this. Okay, yeah, I don't care about this right now. It doesn't. PC doesn't have like that level of like just jumping. Just it's pretty much a big iPad. Like the um the PS4 and I'm guessing the Xbox Series X is essentially just like a big iPad. Like you just swipe in and out of shit just like that, right? Which I think is yeah, it was really impressive. I was completely shocked at how fast you can just do shit. I was really impressed by that. Ghost was good. Yeah, yeah, Elijah, yeah. Ghost of Tsushima, yeah. I was playing it on PC, and um, the PC version has this terrible bug where okay, it has two terrible issues. One was that it had insanely long load times until you went into like your NVIDIA control panel, and I think you had to bump up some type of cache or something like that to unlimited, and then it would actually load much quicker. And then the other issue that I never figured out how to fix was after like 30, 45 minutes, the game would just crash, right? Just it would just freeze, right? And then you get this warning message. And if you Google it, a lot of people on PC had that same problem, and they just never fixed it, right? But in terms of the game, Ghost of Tsushima, I liked it playing on. I was playing on lethal difficulty, where um, lethal difficulty, if you don't know, is where like and here's like I really enjoy lethal difficulty for all the reasons why I don't enjoy Souls games is because on lethal difficulty you go into any fight whether it's you versus one person or you versus like 30 people like pretty much two getting hit twice will kill you. If you're lucky you might make it to get hit three times, right? But it's the same for the bad guys too, and the bad guys are aggressive, they're not dumb, so lethal difficulty in Ghost of Tsushima is literally everything I've ever wanted from a Souls game. right? Really, that's that it because it genuinely feels like fair, and especially when you don't have any upgrades, it's just you with a sword. Like it genuinely because you're gonna die a lot on lethal, right? But it feels relatively fair. Souls games just don't feel like I just don't like the idea of constantly having to do chip damage on a bad guy who can kill you in 2 hits. Like I just think that's dumb. I think it's cheap to make an entire game like that. Maybe like a boss here or there that's like that, especially if it's in good taste. You know what I mean? Like proper timing and good taste. I think it could be great in that context. But to make an entire game like that where you're always at the mercy of doing chip damage to them while they could just take you out in 3 blows is just cheap. I think it's just cheap overall. And that's why I don't like Souls games. I can't. That's why I don't stick with them for long. The longest one I've ever stuck with was probably Elden Ring and Sekiro. Those are only two I've ever given a long. Those are the longest two I've ever played. Um, and Sekiro was honestly my favorite. Elden Ring was fun, and so I figured out the routine of it, and it got kind of boring, and I went back to it. And I checked my file. I made it to level 38 in Elden Ring. At that point, it had gotten like I figured out the routine of it, kind of thing. So I was just bored with it and just never replayed it. I went back to it probably about a few weeks ago, and just see where I was at. I thought I was level 25. I was actually level 38, and just never went back. I was just bored. It was the routine. It was just there. Sekiro was cool. But you gotta go back into that whole way of thinking to play that game, and I just didn't feel like doing it. It was honestly, so I just never finished. I beat that one boss that most people have problems with. He's not even a boss. He's like a mini boss. But Ashina Nine Spears or something like that. Let me look up. I think he's like Ashina Nine Spears or something like that. He was a fucking pain in the ass. Like I just could not beat him. This dude, yeah, this dude. I did like I ended up beating him, but he was just a pain in the fucking ass because it was just it's typical FromSoft, just severely inconsistent hit boxes. It's just horrible. I didn't even feel good when I beat him. It was just like an annoyance. It's one of those things. There was nothing satisfying about beating him. Same AD. The parry system was pretty good. It just sucks that it has bad optimization on PC. Yeah, you talking about Ghost of Tsushima. Yeah, it just the optimization was just terrible. It was just awful, which is really weird because I was just speaking with somebody about this. Because the older the PS4 Spider-Man one on PC ran flawless. It ran flawless. Miles Morales on PC ran flawless. And I have old hardware and it ran absolutely flawless, right? And then Ghost of Tsushima did not run the greatest, and on top of that it had crashes. So it's like, and I never experienced that. I never experienced a PC game to crash like that. And then Spider-Man 2 is about the same way. Spider-Man 2 and Ghost of Tsushima is about the same experience. This is the first time I've ever experienced games crashing. I never had that experience before. I was lucky. I remember when Batman Arkham Knight came out, and I had it on PC. I had no problems with it. I played it from beginning to end. It was virtually perfect, right? But that was a big one when Batman Arkham Knight came out. I think they even had to quit selling it on Steam because it was just so bad. Like it was just terrible for people, and I never had any problem with it. But so I never had any issues with PC gaming until Ghost of Tsushima was the first game I ever had that problem with, and then the next one was the Spider-Man 2, the one that just came out now. Because I crashed at the same exact part every time, so I just gave up on it until they patch it. And on top of that, the Spider-Man 2 game, man, like it just didn't have like Spider-Man 1, I think is still the best Spider-Man out of all three. Mostly because it doesn't have Miles Morales in it that much. Because from literally the first mission on Spider-Man 1, like, I feel like I was playing it when I brought the PlayStation home. I hooked it up to the big TV over there where I used to live stream from. And from the first mission, I was like, this is a Spider-Man game. Like, I'm swinging. I got to hurry up and get to a bank being robbed. And Peter, like, from the beginning, Peter Parker, he's late on his bills. He's living in poverty. This is Peter Parker. He's in doubt about his life. He's trying to figure shit out. He's talking shit. This is Peter Parker. Right? And I was like, and I'm thinking this, I'm just going to play Spider-Man 1. Because Spider-Man 2 is just, like the story is shit. And it's like, whenever they try to force Venom into a Spider-Man story, either they just have to, no matter if it's a movie or if it's a game, they usually just rush him far too quick, and then on top of that, they add in Miles Morales, and now he's like, it's pretty much Spider-Man and Robin at this point. Like, it's just terrible. I don't, like, just take, I hope somebody comes out with a mod that just literally just cut out every part that has to do with Miles Morales and just delete it. I wouldn't be Peter Parker. Okay. And I feel like in the gaming world, like, I think this is where the woke shit is coming in, right? Because I know I'm not the only person who feels that way, but I'm the few people who can say it out loud, because this is where racism is fucked up. Because it's how people perceive shit and what you can say and all that, right? Or racial issues. I won't say racism. Racial issues, it gets fucked up. It's because I know I'm not the only one who doesn't like Miles Morales. I know I'm not, right? But if a white dude says he doesn't like Miles Morales, he's going to be called racist for that. And I think that's fucked up. Miles Morales is a terrible Spider-Man character. He's awful. It's nothing I like about him. It's just none of it fits. This motherfucker can turn invisible. He can turn invisible. He has for some reason he has electric powers. Like, what? And then the weird part is he has electric powers. They're both like Peter Parker and is supposed to be a scientist in the science world. But all that scientific logic goes out if something just needs electricity and he just goes, okay, here. Like, that makes no sense in the science world. You know what I mean? Like, it's just dumb. Like, I think the character is just stupid. I think Miles Morales needs to just be forgotten. Just delete him. The Spider-Man movie wasn't bad. There was the Into the Spider-Verse or whatever. That wasn't bad. I still didn't like him, but it wasn't bad. I still prefer Peter Parker in the first Into the Spider-Verse. I would love to watch an entire movie with Peter Parker. The fat one or the skinny one. I don't care. But I don't care for just Miles Morales. Needs to just be thrown in the trash. Just take him out. Don't care for him. He's terrible. But again, I think it's a thing where people are just too afraid to say it out loud without sound, because they're going to sound racist if they say it. And this is a scenario where no, you're right. Miles Morales sucks. He sucks. It's terrible. You're right. This is not racism. Miles Morales is terrible. This is because now Peter Parker can't even be Peter Parker. Now he's, playing Spider Dad to him. And it takes away from the whole reason of coming to a Spider-Man. And then they're calling each other Spider-Man, which it just sounds, that just sounds fucking gay. Like, Spider-Man, you gotta get to what Spider-Man, what are you talking about? Like, it's just dumb. Like, the whole, the only reason I'm holding on for Spider-Man 2, and I'm gonna play through it, is for a few reasons. It has nothing to do with Miles. Miles Morales is the thing that has me on the edge of just deleting the whole goddamn thing, right? Because I never finished Miles Morales because for the same reason. I don't like Miles Morales. I just don't think he's a good character. But the reason I'm holding on to Spider-Man 2 is because of Venom. And I want to see Peter dive into that shit and get a little gangster. And I want to hear him talk with that Venom voice. And I want to be able to fight Venom. And I've seen some other boss fight, I think, with the lizard that looks. I want to see some of those boss fights again. That's the only reason why I'm holding on. Because Miles Morales completely disrupted the entire path of Peter Parker and what Peter Parker was ever liked, why Peter Parker was always liked. Miles Morales just completely disrupts that entire focus. It completely just puts all of the heart of why Peter Parker was loved so much that when the movies came out, everybody drops what they doing to go see the movies. Tobey Maguire. Here's the thing. I wasn't a fan of Tobey Maguire because I felt like he was a bad Spider-Man. He was a good Peter Parker, but a bad Spider-Man. Tobey Maguire was a great Peter Parker because he fit exactly what Peter Parker should have been as Peter Parker. Peter Parker, and it was all the areas where Andrew Garfield got it completely wrong. Peter Parker is a dude who's like 19, 20, right? He dresses like he's 35 and he looks like he's 40. I mean, okay, in the 90s, he dressed like he would, like what a 35-year-old would dress like in the 90s, right? But he's 19, right? And he got responsibilities that he can't keep up with because he has no money because he's broke as fuck. His aunt's broke as fuck, but he's trying to do the best he can, right? Tobey Maguire was not a good Spider-Man, but he was a great Peter Parker. The Andrew Garfield was a great Spider-Man because he had the wit, the back talking, the joke making, all that was on point. But as a Peter Parker, he was terrible. He was kissing bitches. He had a hot girlfriend. Gwen Stacy come around checking on him, and you mean all in his business. And where are you at, Peter? You mean and all that shit like that. That Peter Parker was complete trash. But him as Spider-Man was great. Tom Holland still ain't got a chance to be Spider-Man. Tom Holland hasn't had a chance to do anything with Spider-Man outside of put on the Spider-Man costume and say he's Spider-Man. That's it. Like Tom Holland hasn't had the chance to be a true Peter Parker or a true Spider-Man because he was just Iron Boy the whole time. And I feel bad for him because I think he's a good actor. I think he'd do a great job as Spider-Man if they let him go and let him be Spider-Man and Peter Parker. I think he would do a great job. I think Tom Holland could be the Christopher Reeves of Spider-Man. I see it. I think he could do it. Because I would say Robert Downey Jr. of Iron Man, but Robert Downey Jr. really wasn't Iron Man. He was just Robert Downey Jr. was just his own thing and turned that into what Tony Stark was after he did it. So I couldn't use Robert Downey Jr. as an example. But Christopher Reeves fit that. And I think Tom Holland could be the Christopher Reeves of Spider-Man. I think he could do it. If they let him go and let him do it, he could do it. But he hasn't had a chance to at all yet. It's not about racism. People have no problem with diversity. Hire MJ and Liz in the new Spider-Man series. Diversity, hire MJ. Oh yeah. With what's the Zendaya, whatever her name is. Is she actually Mary Jane? I think it came out that or maybe I misread something that she wasn't actually Mary Jane. She was just like some other bitch that he liked, kind of thing. But I don't know. Say Miles Morales sucks and nobody anywhere thinks that's racist. Okay. They're trying to nuclear bomb says they're trying to push him as a new Spider-Man. I think he's talking about Miles Morales. Yeah, and dude, no, Miles Morales is not Spider-Man. He will never be Spider-Man. No, like I mean, for me, like maybe the younger kids, since they don't know, they might take to him. The younger kids, because they won't know, they just know what they get now. So maybe the old Peter Parker might die, and they just gravitate towards him. But I would never see him as Spider-Man at all. He's terrible. It's just not. There's just like. what made Spider-Man great too is that, like, okay, when he would be in the Avengers at points, like the original Spider-Man did not really care for Tony Stark. Most people in the universe in that you didn't care for Tony Stark at all. Tony Stark was not likable. And that was the goal of making the character, was to make somebody who's not likable but they were a hero. And I still remember reading a comic book where Spider-Man, he looks around, he's in there in Stark Tower as the Avengers, and he goes, "Ah, yes." What he says something like, "It's amazing what a few $1,000,000 can get you today." Like he's like making fun of Tony Stark for being rich, kind of thing, right? Because Peter Parker, he was always broke, he was always poor, right? And I mean, like Peter Parker was always poor to the point where like he would go off to fight somebody and be thinking about his electric bill at home, if he could pay it or not, right? Not worrying about if Miles Morales is all right. We're worried about his Robin, if he's okay. None of that fits. Like none of that is fitting well at all. Like none of that fits. I mean, like I would say Batman and Robin would make more sense because at least Batman was rich and he seen a dude, he seen a kid who was fucked up and took him in and and trained him up, to be something in life. That makes more sense, even though nobody really liked Robin either. But that makes more sense than Peter Parker taking on Miles Morales to be buddies, and he's teaching and it's just nothing's right, man. Like I really don't care for. Again, I'm just holding out for Venom. I'm just holding out. I just want to play as Venom and fight Venom and all that. That's the only thing keeping it on my radar in any kind of way. Otherwise, I would rather just go back and play part one all over again, which is what I'm doing. The cameo for the original two Spider-Mans really took away from Tom Holland running this with the Spider-Man character. Word. Yeah, because here's the thing. Yeah, Jan, I would agree with that. Yeah. Now here's the thing, because okay, everybody immediately jumped back on Andrew Garfield when he was in the movie, right? Well, but and the reality of that, the reason why that was, in my opinion, is because when Andrew Garfield came back as Spider-Man, yeah, like I said, Andrew Garfield was a great Spider-Man. Like when he was Spider-Man, he was great. He had attitude about him. He had some swagger about him. And that's how Spider-Man's supposed to be. Peter Parker does not get courage within himself until he puts the Spider-Man costume on. So Andrew Garfield was great as Spider-Man, right? And that's the part where, because people are now wanting like the Amazing Spider-Man Part 3, but people forget or either forget or they never knew that he was actually a bad Peter Parker. Because then I want to say in the Amazing Spider-Man 2, they tried to like bring this whole like self-doubt shit in him, and he doesn't fit that side very well, right? And the whole movie just kind of falls flat because of that. Yeah, and then Tobey Maguire, like but Tobey, again, I think Tobey Maguire is a great Peter Parker, but he's just not a good, like, even when he was just standing there, it was be like all three of the Spider-Men in the room, and Tobey Maguire just does not look like Spider-Man. You know what I mean? Like when if he's got the suit on and you can see, and he's got his mask off, like it doesn't, like he doesn't fit in that role. But he's a great Peter Parker. When he's just walking around as Peter Parker, I love it. But the Spider-Man part doesn't fit him at all. I think Tom Holland can do both. I really think he could pull off both of them well. I do like the actor that plays his voice, but he really stepped in some shit taking this role, especially since his character is opposite. I don't know what WW means, but who is the voice actor for Hey Pete. Hey Pete. 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 Pete.
Pete, I gotta get to the store, Pete. I gotta get some Funyuns for Aunt May, Pete. 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 Oh, Pete.
Sounds like a mixture of like Steve Urkel and Juicy from the PJs. It's horrible. This is bad. And that was the other part. The other reason why Spider-Man was so great for me as a kid was because he was always alone. Like he never really had friends because he was being Spider-Man. Like he Spider-Man was like for him to team up with somebody was a rarity. It was a rare thing. Right? It was not common at all. So to make an entire game based off of him teaming up with somebody and checking in on somebody that's not Aunt May, it's just too weird. It's just weird. And then like the voice acting is just like so cheesy. And see, this is another reason why like I tend not to play a lot of Sony made games is because, and I don't mean to bring race into it, but like it's so clear that they're hiring like California white boys and white girls to do their voice actors. They're just so cheesy. The reason why I couldn't play what's it, Horizon Zero Dawn, or no, I played it but I had to change the voice actors because they just hire these like these valley white girls to do it. Hi, well that was a toughie. You know what I mean? Like this. Hey, so Miles, what do you think about the dance? Yeah. Like, so I just have to change the voiceovers to French or something. I just can't even listen to that shit. The Last of Us was good. I think The Last of Us, they did a good job with the voice actors for The Last of Us. Um, Ghost of Tsushima, whatever you pronounce it, that was good. But like too many of those Sony made games, like the Drake Uncharted series is the same thing. I can't stand it. It's that, and I don't mean to bring race into it, but it's that typical American white Cali voice actor who went to Yale shit, and they're trying to pretend like they struggle. Thing. Yeah. I only got like, yeah, I only got like two bows, so yeah. I think we're in trouble. Like, it's just this fucking cheesy shit, dude. The same thing with fucking Kratos and, what's his Atreus. Like, Kratos' voice actor is decent. He's good. But the boy is that typical white Cali shit. Oh, father, well, I know, yeah, like I went, yeah, father, yeah. It's that same shit, and it's fucking disgusting. It's gross. It's annoying. I just rather just change. I can't. So for people who didn't grow up in America, right? I think it might be harder, or Canada, America. I think it's harder for. I think they don't hear it because they don't know like the deeper parts of the US that everybody doesn't talk like that, right? It's even so bad to where they've got AI. It's even, here's the thing. The confusion that the world has with the English language and North American media is this. This is so sick. This is, and I was talking with my client today, the one at the bank, the woman, we was talking about it. I said, the accent, even when you watch a YouTube video, everybody's talking like this. When I do something, they go there, and then it goes into the medium, and everybody talks like this. And it's so bad, they've even made AI to mimic that accent. If they can't speak it, that's the first accent they go towards. Is that white Cali newscaster Valley Girl bullshit. It's fucking gross. It's disgusting. And everybody talks like this. If you watch a random clip on YouTube, and especially if it's out of America, they talk like this. And if it's not from America, let's say they might be from Europe, where they're mimicking this because they're trying to appeal to an American audience. It's fucking like now. A part of my history. One of my friends, I don't even call him like a friend. He's somebody I knew well. Like if we see each other now, we know each other by first name, and it's been 20 years since we've seen each other. This guy, he is a legitimate newscaster in Chicago, And it was crazy how I found out because I was on Yahoo watching like some crime that happened, and he popped up on he was holding the microphone. I was like, what? So immediately I called my friend. I said, hey, did you? I say his first name is common. His first and last name is common. But if anybody cares, it wouldn't take hard to find because I said where he was a newscaster. His name's Will, right? I said, hey, did you know Will is a newscaster? He goes, yeah, you ain't know that. I was like, no. And he was up there to do it. But now Will is a legit newscaster. Like he is doing that for a living. Like he's out there with the microphone interviewing motherfuckers. If you go to his Instagram, he's got awards and all this shit like that. And I was writing him a little bit. I said, I didn't know you was doing that. So I asked him. I don't think he wrote back. I think I made him mad. I asked him if he had to learn that accent. I asked him, do they teach you how to talk like that in newscaster school? Right? Because that's not a coincidence. Like motherfuckers don't walk down the street talking like that in North America. Yeah, I just got a PlayStation 5 and I'm playing Devil May Cry. Motherfuckers don't talk like that in real life. It's not real. Okay. But as an American, he's an American. I said, I think we were talking on one of his posts where I was like DMing him or something. I can't remember. But I said, do you talk like that? Does newscaster school teach you to talk like that? And I don't think you ever wrote back. I think I pissed him off. I think I struck a nerve. Because think about like if you go to newscaster school, right? Like let's Google that shit. Does news reporters they take a voice class? Where's Cora? No, dude, he went to school for this shit. Okay, yeah, this is like a good one. Why do news anchors all talk the same? It turns out a lot of them did. Most broadcaster training programs offer courses devoted to teaching future announcers how to speak in that instantly recognizable style. Yeah, they go to newscast. Okay, they go to news. Yep, they do. They do. The main quality of the voice is that it must contain no traces of regionalism, says Amy Kappels, a former news anchor who teaches voice classes in the broadcasting program at Temple University. You know what I think is funny? Is because I love Anchorman, like Ron Burgundy. I'm a big Ron. I'm one of the biggest Ron Burgundy fans on earth. One of my dreams is to meet Will Ferrell dressed up like being Ron Burgundy in real life. Like that's one of my biggest dreams. Like if I could ever meet Will Ferrell with the Ron Burgundy mustache, and he talk like, and he has his newscaster voice. So I'm imagining Ron Burgundy going to voice classes to learn how to become Ron Burgundy. You know what I mean? Like. Red leather, yellow leather, red leather, yellow leather. The arsonist had oddly shaped feet. The arsonist had oddly shaped feet. But yeah. So the friend of mine, he's an actual newscaster, right? So even though it's funny, like I can understand that. But when motherfuckers are on YouTube doing that, like. Yes, I mean, what's it? Yes, if you want to set up your PlayStation 5, first you have to plug in a dongle. Like, why are you talking like that? And it's just wild, man. I'm laughing my ass off at work right now over 80s imitation of those corny voices. They do kind of the same thing as far as the two. Oh, there was two different actors that played them. I didn't know that. I thought that was a different dude when I googled it, because it looked like okay, yeah, those are two different people. I just didn't really like look that hard at it, but yeah. I don't like Miles Morales. And here's the thing, like the weird part is that, see, this is the other part that the rest of the world doesn't get about like talking black. Now, okay, you meet people, okay, because okay, I can talk white and I can talk like fake black. Like I'm not from the hood, and I know I don't try to pretend to be from the hood, right? So when I talk black, it's like corny black, depending on who you talk to in North America. But there's a way where you could talk white or you could talk white, right? Like Miles Morales, in my opinion, Miles Morales is not like Miles Morales talks like that because Sony's paying for that shit. And they're trying to appeal to an audience, right? Like it's nothing about the character I like. Like you don't okay, but let's go into definitions of talking black. Like you can talk black without being ghetto black. But the thing is, like mainstream media in the U.S. doesn't know the difference. Like I said, like in the world, like when you're a black dude, like you can't just be a normal person, right? You have to either be like amazing at something. You have to be like a token black guy. You like because the world's just not ready for just a normal black person. Like you either have to be something special and amazing or cannon fodder. There is no in between. Even if you are in between, you have to be something amazing or cannon fodder in that area of life you're in, right? To be recognized. It's just how it is in the world. It's how it is. Um, but yeah, no, the Miles Morales. It's nothing I like about the character. I think he's terrible. Next God of War is Allegrato, based on African gods. Don't know how I feel about that. I, I'm with the creator of God of War. Let me see if I can find his rant because I stumbled across it. Because he doesn't like it either. He doesn't like what they're doing with all this now, and I agree with him. I think I think, but here it is. Yeah, I agree with him 1,000%. I think it's terrible. I think it's terrible what they've done with the character. Um, I still think Part One is the best God of War game out of all of them put together. I didn't care for the first one on PS4. I just slogged through it. Part two was just so bad, I deleted it maybe 2 hours in because it was just battle room, useless conversation, battle room, useless conversation, battle room, useless conversation on repeat. It was just so bad. I just couldn't play. I literally was like feeling nauseous. Like I remember, I even thinking about it, I was getting. If I was, I just thought to myself, "Oh no, not again! Battle room again." It was, or you shimmy across a ledge to hide a loading screen. It was just like I thought God of War Ragnarok was terrible. I thought it was absolutely awful. Now the first fight, the first little areas were great. But that's a new trick that especially Sony's doing. Sony is using that trick a lot with it pretty much since I would say Spider-Man on PS4. That's been their new trick is to make like the first 20 minutes this amazing godlike battle that's just super adventurous and it's just amazing. And in the next 4 to 6 hours, you're just going into different battle rooms. And that's all it is. And then you'll have some boss fights. You might have one sprinkled in there somewhere, and then it's just battle rooms for the next 4 hours. Jesus Christ. Phone call ignored. Okay. So I'm busy. And Sony's been doing that a lot lately. And I call Spider-Man 2. That's what happened. And that's what it was in Spider-Man 2. You start out that game. You start out that game. You start out that game fighting Sand like, and that was just really weird too. Like for anybody, if anybody's into Spider-Man, like like Sandman was. I don't think he was ever some 20-story tall bad guy. I think, and after Spider-Man 3 started that shit, and it was cheese. It was dumb in Spider-Man 3, and then now they brought it back in this game where Sandman was like just this big, massive monster of sand, and he can make little small sand bad guys and this and that. Maybe they've updated him in the comic books, I don't know, but that never looked right to me. And it was this whole big majestic fight for the first 20 minutes, and then you're just off, you know, going to different battle rooms for the next 5 hours. Like, it's just not fun. Like, it is it's not fun. MG Verde says black men especially are not allowed to be nuanced in the media. Yeah, no. Yeah, when you're a black dude, you either have to be a criminal, something to be afraid of, something to be potentially afraid of, or you're an amazing god. You're just an amazing specimen. It's never just why the fuck you keep calling. And I got my phone on silent, on do not disturb, and it keeps ringing. He's look, I'm gonna just block it because you know I'm doing something. There. But yeah, yeah, like yeah, and that's just how it is. Like you have to be one. Like you can like once you fall off as like in the world, once you fall off as that one amazing specimen, then you immediately fall in that boat of like potential threat. like either you're physically threatening, or you could steal, or you whatever. You just so you're not allowed to just be normal. Like you can never just because here's the thing. The game Black Flag, Assassin's Creed Black Flag actually touches on it because the main character Jack Ryan, who did play Constantine, he plays the main character in Assassin's Creed Black Flag, and when you're on the boat, you like your main partner is a black dude, right? And Jack, the main character, I forget, I think it's his name Edwin or something like that. The main character in Black Flag, he says, "Yeah, so what are you gonna do? Are you gonna go back to Africa? You know, when this is all said and done, so you can go back and be at home?" And he goes, "Like, no, brother, I ain't like I'm not with those people. I don't like just because my skin's brown. There's like he says something on the lines of yeah, because my skin's brown, I'm never really gonna have a home." Because he couldn't go back to Africa or wherever the fuck he was from because he wasn't in their culture. But if he went to like to America or wherever the fuck at the time it was, where the white people were, they were never going to fully accept him properly. So so the black dude and the white dude, they come together in agreement like yeah, like you're never going to have a real home. Like, you're always going to be like the dude on the outside, and that's what it's like being a black dude for real. You're always like on the outside, and the thing is, it's like every now and then you do find another person who gets it, but more times than not, it falls into this whole like trying to minimize it, like oh no, that's not real, or whatever. But no, that's exact. It's always that. Because I look at me, okay, look at me. I can't go to Africa because I'm not part of their culture. I mean, I could, but like I'm not. I would never feel at home because I'm not in their culture. I would not. I'm never going to be at home here because I'm not part of their culture. I'm never going to be at home in like a white neighborhood in Ohio because I'm not part of. I'm not. I'm not going to be fully accepted by them. I'm not part of the black community in North America because I'm not fully accepted by them. So I'm always going to be on the outside, right? I'm always going to be on, and the only way I'll be accepted is in the black community. I'll be accepted if they figure they can like hop on the bandwagon and get something out of me. And the only reason I'll be accepted in the white side of it is because I'll be an extraordinary specimen for whatever the reason, or a diversity hire or something like that. But just to go walk around and be normal, no, that doesn't exist for people like me. It doesn't exist. Because the blacks will kick you out and the whites will minimize it, but then also kick you out. So it's like, like the second you do, like the second you do one thing wrong that they're not gonna like on both sides, they're gonna kick you out, or it's gonna be hell trying to like force your way in to just be seen as normal. Like it's gonna be, you're gonna go through hell to go in there and break down that shit just to be seen as just a normal human that most of the time is just not gonna be worth it. right? So it's just like so you're just always gonna end up, but like in Assassin's Creed on a boat, you're just always gonna end up, floating from town to town, and never really have like a home with like a community kind of thing. It was that Godfrey dude. He said he went to China. I think it was China or Japan, and he said he got with some drug dealers out there, right? And he said he said the China dude, he was real interested, and he said he loved black culture. He said black culture like inspires the world with music and and this kind of stuff, right? And he said he said black people's weakness is they can't organize. The organization. He said black people can't even organize crime, right? Which I mean is true, but again, but it's in the history of where that came from, which is true. Nowadays, it's true. In modern times, that's me, man. I was never accepted by any community. The only community I was accepted in was the gym. Bunch of broke dudes that talk to each other. Yeah, yeah. That's it, man. Yeah, yeah. Okay, here's the thing. Once you like, and here's the thing. I think the core thing is once you end up a minority and you become educated, that's the big separator. That's the big separator. Once you're a minority and then you become educated, you immediately fall into either you must be a specimen or you're a potential threat, and we need to watch him. You will never stay just normal, especially as a man. Now, a woman, let's use like a Mindy Kaling, for example. I like to use Mindy Kaling as an example because she's so easy to just read instantly like that because I've seen so many of hers walking around in my life, living in Ohio. The girl who was in The Office. Let's look, and I'm not saying this to bash or anything. I'm just saying what yeah, it's coming up in check, but yeah. So like it's like it's extremely easy to I've seen a million girls like her. So here's the thing, if you're a girl and you end up a minority yet educated, what will always get you by as a girl in that boat is just trying to act as much like a white woman as possible. That would like at that point the white women will take you in, the white men will take you in, and the black men will still want to fuck you. So at that point, you have all the options open to the world, right? And that's what Mindy Kaling was. She just acted like a white woman as much as she possibly could, to the point where she would even write every story arc she's ever going to be in, she's going to be with a white man, right? She's completely in that because it's the easiest route for her. Now on the flip side, a brown man cannot do the same thing fully, right? If a brown woman goes into the room, the men in the room can always keep her under control. They're not afraid of her physically, all that. But as soon as a brown man comes into the room, it's just a matter of time for somebody's gonna get afraid of him. Blah, 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 blah. They scared they made him mad, and they don't want him to get mad, and then it usually falls apart. In a matter of minutes, right? And speaking in terms of like a culture of this, right? Like of not just like visiting somebody or something like that, but in terms of everyday life culture, it's gonna dive down into that every time. Even if you're a brown dude who talks like white or whatever like that, you would have to be real lucky for it not to dive in, not to, because you can't just be normal. If you do something, then you must be great at it, right? And let's say if you're all just drinking and then you want to do something like you either have to be great at something or you have to be a potential threat. Like there's very little just normal. Very little, very little. Dealt with a lot of Mindy Kalings in my life, but they always mess with me because I saw through their yeah, yeah. And again, I don't mean to make fun of her because it's a million girls who will take that route if they figure they can, right? And then on top of that, she's dealing with that whitewash and shit, clearly bleaching her skin. This is like obviously bleached skin, she's juggling all that from where the fuck is she from? Well, she was probably born in America, but she's definitely born. Okay, she was born there. But, family immigrated. But, okay, we were living in the United States. Yeah, yeah, but it's that situation. Like, yeah, she can play that. She's from India. Yeah, yeah. So she's juggling that whole like that. Well, I forget what they call it. The skin shit, favoritism, and all that. Yeah, she's fighting all that, and being a woman, then fuck around, had to be seen on camera, and see now. Because here's the thing. On the flip side, like an Indian guy is gonna have it a whole lot harder than an Indian woman would in the situation. And the Indian guy has to be like a model. If the Indian guy is not a model, he's got a hard way to go. It's the reality of the situation, especially in the U.S. Now you got some Indian dudes who do work their way up and become like and become great guys. I'm not saying like they're bad guys, but I'm talking in this context of being seen in the world in the culture like that. Indian guy in her same position would have had it way worse off. All she has to do is start talking with a higher voice and start to mimic all the white woman mannerisms, and yes, and just copy as much as white woman as possible, and she'll make it. Not a doubt about it. This is how it is. Just mimic it. It's fucked up, but it's how it is. But I mean, again, I'm not trying to say it to make fun of her or anything like that. It's the consequences of what we were born into. And then, like I said earlier, with the Miles Morales situation, like I know there's like people who are white playing the game, and they're too afraid to say that Miles Morales sucks because they'll be called racist, right? And I think that's fucked up. So the whole thing is just it's a mess. It really is. It's nothing but a mess. It's a big mess. What's up, Dibs? I'm from Haiti and don't belong anywhere, and currently in Dallas, not accepted by in black or my own community. Yep, education is a big factor as well. Yeah, Chris, because here's the weird thing is like if is the weird thing is if the minority cannot pass as a majority, right? Ignorance becomes what's cool. Ignorance, fear and ignorance becomes cool. And minorities who cannot pass as now, if the minority can pass as a majority, right? Then it's like, you still have issues in these worlds too, but there's much more of a chance to be able to develop some type of true bond with other people like you, right? Because let's say like when like if you're a minority who cannot pass as a majority, it's like yeah, like they glue together much faster. So what I try to tell people in Europe is like yeah, like I tell people in Europe like back in America like I'm the equivalent of a gypsy, right? Meaning I'm the minority in America that has these stereotypical traits of being uneducated, being loud, having 15 kids by 15 different women, these kind of things, right? Um, but the thing is it has nothing to do with the color. It's not like it's not like it has something to do with like the biology of the people and that's why they are. It has to do with either history. History.
It's the history behind it that will explain the vast majority of the situation, right? So like with the gypsies, the gypsies ended up in that position because they were essentially just travelers with no home for a long time, and once kids see their parents not work for like a long time, then those next kids will never want to work because they never seen it, and they just end up completely broken. Whereas in America, like the blacks were not travelers, but they were, they were slaves. So like the kids grew up in that, and that sticks with people over a long period of time. So like, the same thing would happen if you were to pick up and take like 400 white people and drop them off in the middle of fucking Botswana and just enslave them for 200 years, or if you picked up like 400 of 400 if you picked up 400 white Harvard graduates, dropped them in the middle of Botswana and enslaved them next week, in 100 years they would end up in the same position, right? And I think this is the part that always gets left out, mostly because it takes too much thought, and most people don't like to think. They like to just be told something simple, right? But that's the reality. It's not really like that people, right? And here's the thing: it's the same thing like the other way around. So let's take for example white rappers, right? Let's take for example white rappers. It's the same. The black people did the same thing to white rappers. So either the white rapper was trash or garbage, or he was the shit, and that's what happened to Eminem. Eminem is a clear example of the situation, because most other white rappers end up being seen as a joke. The vast majority of the rest of them. Or okay, the white rappers who came out had to really do something exceptional, or they were seen as garbage to the majority in that field, right? That's just how it is. And then you got guys that clearly try to like imitate him. Like remember that guy Token? He was a good rapper, Token, but he was clearly imitating Eminem the whole time, and he was good. I thought he was a real good rapper, but it was literally just Eminem. And he had a good run for a while. I don't know I don't know if he's still making music. He had a real good run for a while, but he was just Eminem. He was just like Eminem's child. And it was just, he was never himself. It was just. And then every now and then I remember Bubba Sparks. But they got to come with something hot, or they'll just be immediately kicked out. Whereas, like like a black dude who's rapping in that culture would make it much further, just because he's accepted more, because he'd be in the majority of that culture, right? And I always think about this, and I never bring it up in a live stream. Like with racial issues, here's the crazy part: is Eminem said all this shit like years ago in music, but he had to stop because he was getting ready to start alienating his primary, which he said it. Because I still remember the lyrics. A song that if anybody claims that they like Eminem, and if you're younger, listen to the song White America. Or okay, I was telling my girl this because she didn't even know this, because they listen to American music, American rap everywhere, but most don't even know what the fuck they're saying. So I said, no, Eminem was saying his songs like on his second biggest CD or third, the Without Me song. I said like yeah, you never knew what he was saying, and she goes no. So I rapped it for word lyric by lyric to say like Eminem, like he knows Eminem knows he's famous because he's a white rapper. Like it's no surprise, and he clearly states it like numerous times. Because in the song Without Me, he says and though I'm not the worst thing since wait. I am the worst thing since Elvis Presley to do black music so selfishly and use it to get myself wealthy. Hey, right rappers emerge, but no matter how many fish in the sea, it'll be so empty without me. Then he had the actual song that was called White America. He literally says, "Look at these eyes, baby blue." He literally says, "Look at these eyes, baby blue, baby, just like yourself. If they were brown, shady lose, shady sits on the shelf." Like he literally just would say it. Like he knows he's popular because he's a white rapper. Like and he took the black music and made a killing off of it. Like he never tried to hide it. And I think the hook went, I go to TRL, look how many hugs I get. White America, I could be one of your kids. White America, little Eric looks just like this. White America, Erica loves my shit. I go to TRL, look how many hugs I get. So for the younger people who don't know, TRL was a music video show in Times Square, New York, and they would do countdowns of music videos. Now the thing was, TRL specifically catered to white music. Now it would be black music in there here or there, but it would only be like the bigger songs. So if you wanted like, good black artists, you really had to go to BET for most of that back in the day, like with Rap City, The Basement, 106 in Park, or just I forget the other like regular shows that would come on throughout the day to have music videos. But TRL specifically reached out to teenage white kids. That MTV was mostly not for. MTV did not mostly become for black people from my memory until Pimp My Ride. Pimp My Ride pretty much made that leap into like white territory to where it was cool because they was dressing up cars and shit. That I think that if I remember correctly, that was like the time period where they officially made that leap to where it was okay to play Yin Yang Twins and shit like that. Because they wouldn't touch that shit. Not often. They would, but it was not a common thing. And so Eminem was saying, I go to like making fun of it, saying, look, I go to TRL, look how many hugs I get, because he's white, because they were primarily targeting white kids, because that's where the money's at. But yeah, it's like, so it's crazy how so many people like don't know, like Eminem was like, he's not like shy about it. Like he knows exactly what the situation is. Like he's not like dumb or he's not one of them type of like dumb white dudes who's like oblivious to it. You know what I mean? He's not one of them. What's that MGK? He's not one of them type of dudes. Just like oblivious. Like he knew exactly his position and he said it all day in his songs back in the day. But yeah, I would recommend anybody listen to White America. Eminem, it's Eminem's song, White America. Great song. MTV Cribs, yeah, MTV Cribs. That back in the day, that was his shit too. Like I had no idea, like most of those houses were rented. Like I had no idea. I just never, when you're a kid, you just don't know. But they were just renting all those houses out. None of that shit was theirs. But everybody remembers that. Was it the Redman? Everybody remembers that Redman episode. Everybody from that time period remembers that episode. So for the younger people who don't know, MTV Cribs was a show where they would go to like music artists' house. Sometimes it'd be actors and actresses too, but most of the time it'd be music people. Or I think they even did like some basketball players' house, stuff like that. And you would go there and they would like, take you on a tour throughout their house and see their cars or, whatever, right? And it came out years later that, yeah, like all that shit was rented. None of that shit, none of it was theirs, But one episode, because it was all like in like mansions and these beautiful houses and all that. But then one episode, they went to Redman's house. And it was like just literally like a 1-bedroom apartment. Like it was like nothing elaborate. It was like a normal, you know what I mean? Like it was nothing. Like my place is nicer than his place, kind of thing, right? And out of all the other everybody, I remember Chingy's house and I remember Method Man's apartment. Chingy had just like a regular like 3-bedroom house. It wasn't anything spectacular. I remember Chingy's house. Chingy had it was literally like a 2 or 3 bedroom house. I think it was even like 1 floor. It wasn't like 2 or 3 floors or something like that. It was 1 floor. It was nothing elaborate from what I remember. It was just, I remember feeling like pretty let down. I would have assumed Chingy had like some money, but like it didn't look like he had it on the show. Because Chingy was big for a while. I always thought he was a terrible rapper, but he was like, he would get on tracks that were hot. So he was doing that, what you doing? Nothing, chilling at the Holiday Inn. And he was on that. He was on a lot. He was hot for a while in the music video game, but yeah. Redman's episode was like a Dave Chappelle skit. Yeah. Yeah. Jesus Christ. MTV, BET. Taking me back, 80. And that was back when Nick Lachey was the shit because of Jessica Simpson. That was crazy when Jessica Simpson blew up because she was just dumb as fuck. And I remember they would like, what made Jessica Simpson famous? Because Jessica Simpson was like a Kate Beckinsale. Like, she was like just the other girl. Like, I mean, like, she, not that she was ugly or anything, or not talented, but she was just the other, like, she just didn't have the same luck of like a Britney Spears or something. So, what made Jessica Simpson popular was she was eating chicken of the sea, tuna, right? And she was dead serious. Like, she was eating. It was one of them reality. This was back when reality TV shows were like just starting out. Like, they were pretty new. Reality TV was not a thing back then yet. So she was sitting on the couch eat some tuna out of a can, right? And she goes, this chicken tastes funny. And he was like, what? You know, yeah, like the can says chicken of the sea, but it says tuna. She thought that it was supposed to be chicken because it said chicken of the sea on it, but it was tuna. And that shit blew up because she was dumb as fuck. And everybody started watching that shit after that. That was wild. So Nick Lachey was like popular, and Jessica Simpson was popular as fuck for a while. But pretty much off that, it was called Newlyweds, and they was popular as fuck off that show. Off of that episode was what got them like super popular. And then I remember, does anybody remember? Andy Dick had this show called The Assistant. That dude was wild, man. Like, I was living in Atlanta watching that show. It was called The Assistant. It was Andy Dick. Let's go back. That dude was fucking wild, man. This dude is wild. Like, this dude's so wild, I can't tell if I could be friends with him or I want to beat him up. I can't tell. This dude's just too wild. Like, he was just, I don't know what this dude's thing is, but this dude's crazy. And he was looking, his reality show was, he was looking for an assistant. And that was when Flavor Flav, he had that Labor of Love, was it Labor of Love or some shit like that? Where he got with Hoops. Flavor Flav, that shit was wild. But The Assistant, I remember I watched The Assistant. That shit was that dude was ridiculous. I'm surprised I'm surprised nobody killed him because he was just too crazy. But yeah, let's watch this God of War. But yeah, and here's the thing, I agree completely with the creator. I'm completely on his side.
Creator of God of War, David Hoffey, said that he's not happy with how the series has evolved, and he's not happy with Kratos' evolution either, stating that the series and Kratos have become too soft. What? See, this take right here is exactly why you're no longer a part of the franchise that you created. God of War 2018 and God of War Ragnarok are arguably the two best games in the whole franchise, right?
No.
Most people would throw those two and God of War 3 up there as the peak three. And a good
Absolutely
majority
not.
of the reason why God of War 2018 and God of War Ragnarok and now the God of War Valhalla DLC have been so successful is because, in, well, your words, Kratos has gotten soft. It's called character development. Because are we forgetting that at some point the God of War franchise was about to die because Kratos was just one-dimensional?
Well, okay, see, this is the confusion. Kratos was never supposed to be a franchise. That's the key part he's missing out on. Kratos was never supposed to be a franchise. It was supposed to be a one and done deal. Okay, just because you came along much later off in the journey, and you knew it as a franchise. See, that's the big confusion. Kratos was. I still remember playing a demo of the first God of War before God of War came out, and you didn't even know what it was. There was no such thing as quick time events that were popular. Like Shenmue had it, but nobody. I mean, well, I would say no. A lot of people did play Shenmue. I didn't play Shenmue, but quick time events were not the norm in video games. So God of War made quick time events the norm of action games, of console action games. God of War was never supposed to be a franchise, and the creator stated that it was never supposed to go on after part one. And I think part one was a masterpiece because of it. It was a masterpiece because of it. Because part two was not a bad game, but part two was not God of War. And in terms of in terms of good storytelling, or okay, whenever you got to deal with going back in time, that's when you know you're out of ideas, and that's what God of War 2 was. You were going back in time. That's when you know the franchise is done. When they got to start doing time travel, because they just ran out of good storylines. But yeah, in God of War 3. Didn't care for it. I remember I was playing it. I know I played it on PS4, but I think it came out on PS3. I can't remember where I originally played it at. But, I mean, it was cool. But God of War 1 was by far I always say this. God of War 1. You see, you remember playing a demo in Blockbuster as a kid? Yeah, I remember I was playing it in Electronics Boutique in the mall. It was like a form of GameStop before GameStop was a thing. That was when it was Funko Land. But God of War 1 was so great because he was just a dude who was leading an army, right? He was just a human. He wasn't like half son of Zeus and all this silly shit. And he went on a rampage killing all the guys. In part 1, he was a dude who sold his soul to the God of War. He sold his life to the God of War to get him out of it, right? And then the God of War tricks him into killing his own family to make him a better warrior. Then Kratos just says, look, fuck it. I'm just going to do the impossible. I'm going to go search for the power to kill a god, right? Which was Pandora's box. And he should have never did it. It was just, he went on a whim, just being frustrated because he really wanted to just die because he didn't want the memories of killing his wife and kid. He really went on just a purely death mission, right? There was no hope of ever truly fixing it. And in the slim chance he could kill a god, he wanted the memories erased. There was none of him being a god. He did not go set out to become the God of War. That was never part of it. It just happened like that. Right. So in part 1 was told in great mythological fashion. You know how they say the gods are never that kind to let you get away with something, and feel good about yourself when it's done. The gods are never that kind. It was a beautiful game, especially for the time. It was on PS2, and it was a beautiful game. And I still remember getting Pandora's box, and you get sent back because he kills you. Then you go back and down the hill, and you gotta get out, and then you get when you finally open Pandora's box and get the power to become a god, and you grow to become the same size as Ares because he's fucking huge, and then you fight Ares. And I remember just thinking, like, am I really supposed to beat this? Am I really supposed to kill Ares? Like, I'm just like in shock the whole time. Because again, like, you don't know what God of War is at this time. It wasn't a name brand yet. It was just a random game you found. I'm like, oh shit, I think I'm getting ready to kill a god. Like, is this even? But the way they told the story, especially at the time, was like, it wasn't just some cheesy way of telling it. It was like, oh my god, I think I'm actually getting ready to do this. Like, in the game, right? And then you kill him, and it's like the narrator, she goes, Kratos had done the impossible. He had killed a god. And the way she says it is just like so fucking epic how she says it. And then after that, like Kratos still is stuck with the memories. He goes back to Athena and goes, Athena, I still have the memories. And she goes, yeah, we never said we was going to erase the memories. We said we would, think highly upon you for killing our brother. So I didn't mean for you to make that mistake and think that. And so Kratos like, oh, fuck. After all of that shit, you mean to tell me I misunderstood what you said? And he climbed the highest mountain he could find to kill himself. And then Athena picked him up and said, no, you are too valuable to do that. There's an empty chair to be a god of war, and you getting ready to sit in that chair, bruh. And that was it. And he was a god of war. That was it. Then, for some reason, in part 2, they decided to, like, segue in. Oh, he just happens to be the bastard son of Zeus. Just happens. Just some weird coinky dink. He's the son of Zeus. Zeus wants him dead because he's gonna kill him in time. But it should have been. But at this point, like, Kratos had already literally dug himself out of hell one time before when he was really just a regular old dude. So for some reason, like, why would Zeus even think that's a good idea to kill him again? Like, he's just gonna come back. This motherfucker Kratos dug his way out of death. DEF. When he thought he was just a regular old dude leading the army. He thought he was just a regular dude. He dug himself out of hell. So you think you can ready to come around and just get, like, it doesn't even make sense when you really think about it, right? Like, it's dumb. Like, God of War 2 is stupid. Like, it's just dumb. Like, so he comes back and he ends up either having to hurt or kill pretty much every god or every important person in Greek mythology, whether it was from some type of a battle leader or fighter or just another god. He ended up, for one reason or other, having to kill him for whatever reason, which really makes no sense. So how come they can't come back, but he could? Like, why did all those gods just stay dead? Especially, I can understand Ares because theoretically, he killed him with the power out of Pandora's box. But for the other ones, like, why didn't any of the other gods know how to come back? But Kratos just, like, dug himself out of hell. Like, none of it makes sense anymore after that. Like, it's all just really stupid. and out of all the people, he went off and he killed the fates, he killed gods, he killed demigods, and he even killed Zeus himself. Now, what makes Kratos so fucking special that he can dig himself out of hell, but Zeus can't? Explain that one, Sony. Explain this. This is why I think the rest of the God of Wars are just dumb. If you give any actual thought, they're just not good games on a story level. Another game that severely fucks up is this, and I've been meaning to bring this up for a long time, is Senua Sacrifice Hellblade. Part 1 was great. It overstayed its welcome at some parts, but for the storytelling wise, part 1 of Senua Sacrifice was a great game. Let's pull it up right now. Okay, well, this is part 2, but this is okay. Part 2 was horrible, but part 1 was great on a story wise. And you played wearing headphones. It was just next level. It was something you if you haven't experienced Hellblade, play part 1, but you have to wear headphones. Don't play it with the speakers on the TV because you're not going to get the full experience. You have to put headphones in when you play it, right? Preferably in quiet or with noise canceling or something like that. And that's the full experience. like I said, it's a little jank because they were an independent developer, so there's a little janky parts with some boss fights. You know, it can be frustrating, and it overstays its welcome a bit at the end, I think. But overall, great experience. Part two was completely terrible. Okay, and I find it truly shocking how no reviewer mentions how bad part two is. Mostly because I think people just don't really think too much. Part one was great because she was alone and she hears voices. She's completely mentally fucked up. The whole story of the first game was her village or town had gotten raided and they killed her boyfriend and they killed her boyfriend, right? And some kind of way she survives. I can't remember if the game explains exactly how she survives, but she survives obviously because she's the head character. So she's so mentally ill. She was mentally ill before he died, but it went crazy after he died. And she operated life on the understanding that if she cut her boyfriend's head off and took it to like I can't remember where she was taking it, that it would bring him back to life. So the whole game in Senua Sacrifice, the entire game, you're walking with her boyfriend's head on your hip. With her, and he's dead. He's completely dead. Let's see if I can find a picture of like the gameplay, because they're gonna show. Yeah, okay, yeah. So you see that? If I'm not mistaken, because she's carrying his head the entire time. There it is. There it is. It's on the left hip. Because that's part two. Part two looks a lot better, but it's a terrible game. But the entire story is for her to make it. She's traveling alone, and she's crazy. She's traveling alone with her boyfriend, with her dead boyfriend's head, in her essentially in her back pocket, to take it to go give to some god, or I can't remember exactly what it was, to give it to somebody because she thinks that's going to bring him back to life. She's completely crazy, right? Now, the deeper part of why it's great is because you have to fight bad guys along the way. Well, all the bad guys that you fight are literally in her imagination. She's not actually fighting anybody. So, like, if you were another person, you would just see a crazy woman in the woods swinging a sword around at nothing. She's crazy. She's not actually fighting anyone or anything. You see what I'm saying? And she wasn't even that great with a sword to begin with, right? So all of these parts of part one make it a great game. Now, part two was terrible because now they turned her into like an actual warrior for some weird reason. I don't know where that came from. She's killing grown men who are actual warriors and fight. She's teaming up with other people, and that's where the whole story for me just completely falls apart from where the first game was at, because in the first game you were completely alone. So due to her schizophrenia, whatever the fuck, she would see puzzles in the woods that she had to solve because she's crazy to get out of that part of the woods to continue on. Makes sense. She's crazy, right? Well, in part two, you have the puzzles, but nobody ever acknowledges the fact that you're crazy, and only you see it. And they almost like stand around and watch you do it, and nobody ever brings it up. It's like if anything, they just watch you. Like, everything about part two was just part two, it was awful. It was terrible. It looked much better, but it was in terms of the creation of the story. There was just nothing. I was excited to play it, and when I played it, it looked great, but it was awful. AD, you lived in Atlanta. Damn, you've been everywhere. Yeah, well, I was living with a cousin. I lived in Norcross. Norcross is not Norcross. Yeah, Norcross. Let me look it up. It's not. Norcross is outside of Atlanta. No, I wasn't in Norcross. No, I was in Tucker. That's where I was at. I wasn't in Norcross. Tucker was about 10, 15 miles away from like getting to the city. I was in Tucker, Atlanta. Oh shit! What I just do? I still remember my favorite food there was actually from Whole Foods. Whole Foods had this at the time. They had this tofu curry with like raisins and peppers. It was amazing. I used to drive like 15 minutes just to get that. It was just so great. It was amazing. But yeah, Atlanta. I had family in Atlanta, a lot of family. So I was always down there at some point, to the point where I knew it so well to where I just drove there alone as a teenager. Because from Ohio, you just take I-75 all the way down. If you're leaving from Ohio, you hop on 75 and just go straight down. You don't have to get off any stops. Just go straight to Atlanta from there. The Kratos clones made me rage quit. Yeah. You talking about when you had to protect the wife and kid? Yeah, see, it was little parts like that was great. When I played part 1 on PlayStation 4, I was constantly waiting for the story to actually get good, anywhere near pretty much ever since God of War 1. I was waiting for the story to genuinely become interesting, and the stories never got interesting. Nowhere near as interesting as part 1. And it's kind of hard to recreate that because part 1, like I said, it was a new character, so you didn't know it. You weren't expecting a good story, right? But I remember when I played, I thought Ragnarok was just awful. But the other one, where he has the axe, I remember just constantly waiting for the story to finally pick up and be good, and it just never did. I thought it was going to pick up and get good when you saw Zeus in hell or wherever you were at, and he was gone just as fast as he showed up, and it was just the story just never got good. There was at no point in playing that game I was like, wow, that was actually pretty cool or interesting. Not one time. Not once. And Ragnarok, the first boss fight was cool, just like the first game. It was cool, and after that, it just got disgustingly annoying to play it. So I literally just I speed deleted it. I just Alt F4 delete program. Get out. Just get out. I couldn't do it. I watched some boss fights on the internet where you fight that big dog, and but I just don't have the patience to sit through that. Just to go through battle room, shimmy across a ledge, battle room, boring conversation of no real importance, ride a kayak to another battle land, half the shit you can't do because you don't have the upgrades yet, worthless conversation, battle land, worthless conversation, battle land, worthless conversation, shimmy across a ledge, worthless conversation I had literally no interest in at all. Nothing. None of them were interesting. I found it. There's a good chance I won't even touch it. I'm sure they're gonna come up with another one because it makes a lot of money. I'm never gonna touch it. Very low chance. I'll pirate it for free, and probably won't even last too long after I pirate it. That's what I did with Ragnarok. I didn't pay for that shit. I'm not paying for that. Until I know it's unless I have good faith in it, I'm not paying for that shit because I'm never paying for a FromSoft game. I'm pirating all this shit too. I'm not paying for that headache. Well, I just didn't. I didn't even finish the video. Let's finish it.
There's only so much that you can do with a rage-filled hack-and-slash character. Where's the depth? It's crazy how we got 2 games and 1 DLC in the North Saga, and those 2 games in that DLC have more character development, in my opinion, better world building. Not to mention, a lot of the people who grew up with Kratos grew up. Kratos came out in 2005, bro. I was 14. You think I'm the same person I was back in '05? Shit, at least I hope not. So, of course, this character would change and develop over time. That's how you create longevity. And listen, we all know that this line was iconic, but be honest, bro. Ain't nobody trying to hear this 5 years from now.
And you will not see the end of this day. I will have my revenge.
Like, please, get over it. Kratos' growth and development is exactly why he's held in such high regard now. He didn't get soft, he got wise. And if you knew anything about the character that you created, you would know that Greek gods get stronger with age. So if anything, the new direction that Santa Monica and Sony has taken him in has made him stronger than what you did when you made him. But let's be honest, I'd be a little jealous.
This dude is so off. This is shocking how terribly off he is with it. I wish I could talk to him because I think we would have a great conversation. Because he was 14 in 2005. In 2005, I was 19. So that's a big jump in these age groups. That's a big jump. I was 19 in 2005. Literally, and okay, I wish I could talk to him because I would love to have this conversation. But literally, the last like 30 seconds, everything he said was just completely wrong. Honestly, it was completely wrong. It was 100% completely wrong. There's no other way to put it. The character that man created was only meant to go for one game. When he created that character was created at a time where not many games ever got sequels. Not many games. It was rare to see a game that had especially more than one sequel. You had Resident Evil, stuff like that, but those games were rare. It was rare to get a part 2 and part 3 of the same exact character. Those days were rare. When he made that character, he made him for a specific part of life, but the development was everything. Like the storytelling, literally the reason why he's wearing white skin is because he's wearing the ashes of his dead wife and kid. How much more development do you want than that for a character? That's why all the other games are complete garbage in comparison. The storytelling. There was nothing interesting about Thor. There was nothing interesting about Odin. There was nothing interesting about Tyr. There's nothing interesting about his son. There's nothing interesting about Freya. The Balder dude was a little interesting because he couldn't feel pain and he just wanted to feel pain. There was nothing of interest anywhere in that. over the first one. God of War 2 was a joke. God of War 3 was a bigger joke. They just looked nicer, but they were jokes. It was just this desperate plan to stretch out the money for the game making. But in terms of story development, no. For anybody who's actually played all of them, no, there is no way you can say the story development literally from 2 to Ragnarok is dog shit compared to the first one. Complete dog shit. It's not even 10% as valuable as part 1. In my opinion. No. Just because you guys, you got a little more, okay, the only difference was you got more flamboyant characters. You got more talkative, flamboyant characters along the way, but none of them really had much to say. None of them had much. There was never any moment where I played one. I was playing God of War 2 recently on an emulator. You run at 4K and all that shit with the new textures and all that on PC. And even there was no moment where I was just like, there was, different people got different tastes. And that's just my opinion. And it's weird because the guy who made the game himself clearly stated that there was never supposed to be a part 2 or part 3. He made it specifically for one thing. And he doesn't even go into the actual interview because the guy who made the game, he's disgusted that, all the people who grew up with the game that he made, they all started having kids. So they want to make games that reflect their lives now. And it's just weird. It's weird because in reality, it's just the Last of Us Kratos edition now. That's all it is. It's the Last of Us BioShock Infinite Kratos edition. That's it. That's all it is. And I didn't care for it. I thought it was. Yeah, that's me. Then for some reason he had this armor, and like, why would he even want more? Because the type of dude he ended up getting his armor, and then the armor fell off, but he only just kept the arm part that was in spectacular condition, mind you, for some reason. Like, I just, nothing about the other games made much sense at all. Then he found Pandora, who was like a flame that was like part human, and he sees his daughter in her, and it was just weird. And Ascension was just, I couldn't even play God of War Ascension because it just played like a shitty tech demo. He didn't even talk much in it, that's most of it, is to hear Kratos getting mad. He was just silent the whole time. Like, it just felt empty. Yeah. That's wild shit, man. That's wild shit. Let me get out of here. It's 9:50, right? It's bullshit. Reflecting on their own life in a goddamn game is what makes it suck usually. Yeah. Let me get off here in a minute. But yeah. Because then, like, when he has the kid now, he has Atreus. It's like, why did you skip? Like, why would you skip the storytelling in all that? Right? It's like, very few movies get away with that, or games. The only one I could think of that comes to mind right now, where it completely worked, the whole, like, just skipping that very important part of the past that put him in this position now. The only thing that I can think of where it completely works is the movie Logan, where they never explain what Logan actually did, but we know he did something really bad, and that's why they're in the position they're in now. That's the only thing that it was like, okay, this completely works. Like, and that mystery holds up, and it makes it even. In my opinion, it makes the characters, stronger in being on film. Like, it makes their presence felt more, because you know something happened, but you don't know what it was, but they know what it was. With this whole thing, like, now Kratos some kind of way he jumped a realm, and he found a wife, and now coincidentally she was a giant, and she beat up Thor, and like all these coincidences. now Kratos' dead wife was witness beating up Thor, but she kept it quiet, and she never told Kratos, and she was secretly a frost giant or whatever the fuck it is. Like, all these coincidences. Like, no, she just make her a regular bitch who was sucking some dick and got a baby with a dude who was the God of War. She don't have to be something like, this storytelling is again. This storytelling is typical Cali white company shit. It's all a coinky. It's just a coincidence that we like this. It's all just a big coinky dink. Like, all of that screams population who's never actually lived real life. Right? All of this screams that. It screams it. Like, all of a sudden he's in another land and fucks a bitch who happened to beat up Thor, but nobody knew this whole time, and it's a coincidence that now his son is Loki. It's all just a big coincidence. No, it's not coincidence. But again, the younger, like I said, and I'm 38, and I always say this. My generation is right at that line with technology, or just like worldly sense. Okay, generally speaking, my age group is where I noticed it with, like, me and my cousins who were like 5 years older than me or 7 years older than me, or my other cousins who would be like you, who are younger than me. I'm like, in the middle of both of them. Like I remember times when or I've watched real movies with real stories be made, and I know how, like I will sit up and watch season 1 of Star Trek with Captain Kirk right now and be genuinely impressed by the storytelling in these movies. I mean, in TV shows. I will watch old movies in black and white and genuinely be interested in them, right? I know how to operate life without the internet, without a smartphone, without having 5 or 6 different apps and apps for apps for apps and these apps to go with these apps to make this app work. And I remember times before that. So I know how to operate completely without it. But I also know I can operate with it too, to relate back to, younger crowds to an extent, because I'm starting to get older and it's getting worse. Right, but I'm at that, like in my age group was that hard break off point. I remember times before phones where you had to actually approach women to talk to them and ask them for their number. Right, I remember you didn't just DM random bitches. Right, you actually had to go find one and approach them. Right, or else you would never talk to them. Right, I remember these times. Right, so not every time, but like it's like the people who are not much younger than me, it's like they're severely confused on when they see real shit. Right? Like they can't tell the difference. It's okay. It would be it would be like having an eye for fake Jordans and real Jordans. Like my demographic and older has a much better eye for seeing real shit, whereas the younger generation just can't tell the difference between the real Jordans and the fake Jordans. They just can't tell. Right, and then they go to YouTube to try to find a 5 easy steps to tell on YouTube, and it never translates to reality, and it ends up more confused and and like that, right? Not every time, because there are some exceptions, but it's far more common for the younger groups of people to do that. Now the older groups usually have a far harder time telling that with like technology. So like the older populations are far more susceptible to scams online. They're far, because they don't know how to tell the real and fake, where I can tell the real and fake more than that, and I can immediately say no, don't write that person back, don't deal with them, right? I'll immediately, so I'm like in the middle of it for right now. But yeah, and see, I think he said he was 14, so I'm 5 years older. Well, when he recorded this, I was 5 years. Well, no, because he said 2005, so I'm 5 years older than him. So and that's a big jump in that time for two totally different perspectives when you see something. So yeah, but no, yeah, God of War 1 was. I'm arguing with a YouTube reel, but God of War 1 was definitely far better, far better. But the younger kids don't know, and they'll just gulp down whatever you give them. Just make it colorful, or just have the camera shift a lot, and they'll just immediately, drink it down. That's how it always is. Parody account, you had to get rejected in real time instead of swipe left on. Yeah. And what's crazy is like when you getting rejected in real time doesn't even hurt as bad, weirdly. You know what I mean? Like, because we've all been rejected. The weird part is this: is that the reality, like, people think it's the other way around, but in reality, it actually doesn't hurt as bad in real life to just get rejected in real life, because now you clearly know, right? Because when it's on a phone, you could be like, oh, well, maybe they accidentally did it or something. You know what I mean? Something like you can make up excuses in your head for it. But when you get rejected in real life, it's like, oh, I know now, so I'll just move on and, try with somebody else. Yeah, but yeah. But yeah, and I think younger generations are just like again. I really feel like because I remember when I was coming up, it's like even when it came to computers before smartphones, I could see the divide in it. When it was just like Windows XP, Windows 7 era, I remember seeing it back then. It was like like the older groups just didn't adjust to technology, and the younger groups were slowly getting worse with like human interactions, right? Or just like taste in media. They were diving more towards Disney shit. Like Sony, and let's be real, Sony is essentially Disney shit. Like everything Sony makes now it's look, Drake's Uncharted or Sony back shit. Let's look up Sony back games. It's all it's all Disney shit. Let's do let's just do PS5. So I got PS5 up here. They're shifting extremely to Disney shit. Yeah, like Sackboy, Spider-Man Miles Morales, Horizon. Yeah, all this Lego shit. This is Disney shit. So maybe that's a better way to put it. The generations younger than me were more indoctrinated into Disney shit, whereas in my age group and above, we were indoctrinated more into reality and being dirty. Right, not wearing baggy clothes, being more dirty, this kind of stuff. Whereas like the groups younger than me, they were more into dressing up to look pretty, right, and essentially being being far more feminine. And that's why now in the dating market you have so many issues, because the men have turned, and most of the men have turned to be too feminine. Just like the coincidence, Gears of War 5 has a random strong woman leader leading the group. I want to be honest with you, Parody Account. I did want to try Gears of War 5, but I probably won't. I wanted to give it a shot, but I probably. But to be fair, I was never really a Gears of War fan. I was never a Gears of War fan anyway. But I did want to try Gears of War 5 because I've seen you can like sled or something through it. I can't even think of the right word now, but I was never a Gears of War fan, man. I remember when it came out. I downloaded the Gears of War 1 on PC because it's hard to find it, and just to get it to work on PC is pretty difficult. It can be difficult, but I had it running on my PC, and I played like the first level, and like I don't know. I did like Space Marine 2. I played that. It was pretty basic, but I mean the vibe was that masculine. Brother, are you down, brother? They got you too, brother. Like they were just like in war. You know what I mean? And then I like that about it. But it was a pretty basic game overall. It was just the war. I think that was about the last masculine game we've got in a long time. This is about the last, the last masculine game we've gotten in a long time. Yeah, this game. I don't know of any other just purely masculine, like, because these other like a lot of these shooters, they've just turned to be too California, like snobby Californiaized. Thanks for the subscription, Flash. $20.99. Good game, but still, it's a good game still. But just saying, Gears 4. Okay, yeah, I've never played them. But you know, Gears was that same like is pure masculine from what I remember. But I think one thing that rubbed me the wrong way about Gears of War was like the kind of camera, like when you like run, the camera is like constantly like bobbling around, and it's like, you know, I just never clicked. I just say that it just never clicked with me, because I'm sure it's good. The first ones, they definitely weren't on that woke shit in those first ones. But yeah, and just the thing, the God of War thing with having a kid with you, and I mean, it could have worked, but here's the thing: if they had made it, but just made it like another character, just don't make it Kratos. Just like make the game, but just name it literally. Okay, the same reason why DMC got slammed, the game DMC. So Devil May Cry is a big series. Well, it's not big, but it's a good series. It's relatively big compared to some games, but They tried to reboot it and make it DMC, and they just named it DMC, and they made him this punk wearing skin tight pants, and he had like mascara on, and actually, let me show you this one. They tried to reboot it and make it like that, right? And Dante is, and he was a new Dante, right? And the original Dante was a dude with the white hair. So okay, yeah. So these were the two different Dantes right here from Devil May Cry. Now the one on the left was the rebooted one. They tried to reboot it and making this like kind of emo goth kind of dude and all that. But the one on the right, that's the OG Dante. You know, he looked like he probably smelled like cigarettes. I mean, his teeth ain't brushed. Yeah, that type of shit, right? But he was a cool dude. And DMC, the one on the left, that game got like people like roasted. It was, and the thing, it wasn't a bad game. It was a fun game, right? But they made him they made him this Midwest white goth dude, and it just didn't work, right? But see, this was back in the day when they tried that woke shit, and motherfuckers would just like immediately retaliate on it, like they didn't give it a chance yet. I did play it, and I thought it was a great game, but they messed up by calling it Devil May Cry. And that's why they immediately jumped off that shit and went back to like the OG Dante again. They immediately jumped off. They didn't make a part 2, none of that shit. Never came out again. Now, if they had done the same thing with Kratos back then, I think it would a similar thing would have happened. Now he's walking around with a fucking axe and a kid with no real explanation how he got there, and he's just there now. You know, and for some reason, he's in these woods where he's supposedly a god, but these random creatures are there that can kill him for some reason. You know, because now he's a god and he's killed other gods, but there's like you know, minuscule bad guys who can severely hurt you. You know, like nothing about the new God of Wars makes sense. Nothing. There's nothing. And then they always take this desperate plea to like focus on the blades of chaos again, and it's just sad, honestly. But again, the younger generation doesn't know, so they'll just drink it down. And they'll probably do the same thing with Miles Morales, because it's all they'll know. They don't know anything else. Because now they know walking in and expecting Kratos, right? Like when in God of War 1, you didn't walk in and expect Kratos. You were being told the Kratos story for the first time. Too many girl bosses in these games now. Naughty Dog going through it with the fans because they just had to cater to the DEI standards. Yeah. Yeah. I still say watch Atomic. If you want to see a good movie with a woman as the main character, Atomic Blonde. I don't know if it's aged well yet, but I used to love the movie Atomic Blonde. I thought it was great. And I'm gonna watch Ian Flux if you're still in here. I'm gonna now that you brought it up, I'm gonna watch Eon Flux. But Atomic Blonde. If I don't know if it's aged well or not, but I thought that was a pretty good movie. It was a really good movie. But very few women can pull off being pretty and like being believable that she can change her own car tire. Not many women can pull that off. Just don't have the look. I would say that's the equivalent of being Christopher Reeves for a woman actress. That would be the equivalent of being able to play Clark Kent and Superman. It's for a woman to look like she can be pretty and she can change her own car tire without problems. It's hard to pull both of those worlds off well for a woman to act like that. And I think Charlize Theron did a good job with it. I think she did a great job with it. The fights were realistic. They weren't stylized. They would fight. They were just so fucked up. They both would just be like stumbling, like trying to get their balance back and shit, like, and just covered in blood. That's about the closest. Charlize Theron, from what I've seen, is about the closest we'll get to a character like Revy in Black Lagoon. So for those of you who may know what that anime was, Revy was one of my favorite female characters too. Revy and then the Bloodhound, the maid, who they had to go kill, but they didn't end up killing her. But the blood, because I think that was an extended movie with the Bloodhound. But Revy is another favorite. I never think to bring her up, but she's an anime character. But Charlize Theron is about the closest we'll get to being believable to where there could be a character like Revy to come up. So if anybody knows Black Lagoon, or if you haven't watched Black Lagoon, it's an anime. I would highly recommend that. I watched that years ago. I used to watch that. I watched Gunslinger Girl. That was actually really good too. At least at the time. And maybe it didn't age well too, but Gunslinger Girl, I was real into Gunslinger Girl. Because then I went off and read the manga, how you pronounce it, manga. I went off and read those. But Gunslinger Girl had a real interesting story because, so in the series Gunslinger Girl, they were like, I forget what the main company was, but they needed bodyguards. So, but they wanted they wanted to get the surprise on people. So like nobody knew who the bodyguard would be. Because it would be, if you just walk around with like three big dudes, you immediately know those are the bodyguards, so you target them first, right? So in order for this company to get the leg up in the world, they would go out and find like little girls who were just like left for dead. Like Henrietta, she was the main character, I think. Henrietta, they had found her. She was like just beat up and raped, and like I think she was missing an arm or a leg or some shit. They found her just like destroyed. And so this is what they would do. They would go to like orphanages or where kids were like small kids would be like severely abused and be left for dead. They would go and find these girls, heal them, and then train them to be bodyguards. So like they would be like the murderers. They would be like the killers, and they would be like 9 years old. Right? They'd be small. Let's see. This was my shit. I used to love this show. Gunslinger Girl. So, yeah. So they would be, they'd be walking with these little girls, or they would have a girl like standing over there somewhere, eating ice cream or something like that, shit like that. And they would always have like a violin case on them, and when something pop off, like them girls was trained. They'd be like, whap, whap, and just kill everybody. I was real into Gunslinger Girl. I loved the Gunslinger Girl. And Black Lagoon was good. Black Lagoon, Revy was, you gotta like Revy. You can't not like Revy. She was like, she was borderline. She wasn't racist, but she was just like, she would say what we would call, nowadays we would call it racist shit, but she wasn't racist. It was like, it was like a Archie Bunker kind of thing. Not even that, but yeah, it was more like Archie Bunker. Like, she wasn't racist, but you couldn't get away with doing that now in Western media. But what she would do. But I remember when you talked about Gunslinger Girl, but meaning to check out Black Lagoon. My sisters like it, but I'm late. My sister likes it, but I'm late to it. Yeah, Black Lagoon is good, man. And I think there was a Bloodhound OVA. And that was a real good episode because she was a maid, but she was in the military before, so she was like, this girl was crazy, and Revy couldn't beat her, but they couldn't really beat each other for real, but she was crazy. The Bloodhound, that was a gangster. I think it was an OVA, but that shit was hot. Yeah, that was her like fucked up. Roberta's Blood Trail. That was it. Yeah, highly recommended. The motherfuckers was wild. But yeah. She was good in the Old Guard. Oh yeah, they're making a part 2 the Old Guard. Because me and my girl, we watched that. Well, that's when I had my TV over here. We watched it together, and that was a really good movie. And that, if you've seen the first one, there's definitely gonna be a second. Well, they left it off on a great way to start a part 2, and I think it's gonna come out soon. And I'm definitely watching that shit. That was good. I'm definitely watching part 2 of Old Guard. That shit was hot. I'm not a fan of Netflix movies, but that shit was hot. Because she don't have the powers anymore. They took them out of her. Well, I just spoiled that. Sorry. If anybody who hasn't watched Old Guard. Oops. Her character reminds me of the girl from Gatekeepers because of her spectacles. Okay. I don't know what that is. Yeah, so I'm gonna let y'all go because it's 10:15. I'm getting out of here. I'm tired. So thanks for everybody tuning in, like, subscribe. I don't know what I'm gonna do. But yeah, what's up, 80? I'm 23. Been watching since I was 17 or 18, I believe. Jesus Christ, you've definitely taught me a lot about the nature of women and men. Oh, well, thanks a lot, man. I'm glad you tuned in. And hey, yeah, that's, Jesus Christ, since 18, that's a long time. I didn't even know I was doing this long. But yeah, cool. Yeah, thanks for tuning in, man, and thanks a lot for the statement, compliment. I don't know how to really say it. I'm terrible at saying thank you, but thank you. I'm out of here. Y'all have a good day. Catch you on the flippity flip. Peace out.